Hello there everyone, welcome back to another video about the One Piece card game. Today I am beginning my OP06 coverage. Long time coming, I think. I've been really excited to get started with this for a while now, so let's go ahead and get into it. But before that, I want to say two things. One, as you're watching this, my Patreon is active again. There are going to be in-depth guides going up to all the major decks in the format. Moria, Sakazuki, Yamato, Perona. Those are all, Reiju. I've got planned videos for all of those. I'm not sure which will be up when you watch this or which will be up in the future, but please do check out that Patreon. It is linked in the description. The second thing I want to say is I want to explain how this series is going to be a little bit different. In the past, I would just do one video per color. I think what is more helpful is the way this is being done now. So I'm going to be doing one video per leader and then one or two more videos sort of rounding up all the remaining bits of support into buckets that make sense. So that's the way this is going to work. Today I am starting with film. And this is centered around Uta, but I think it's important to read these cards in the context of Red Purple Lore as well, because that is a deck that can utilize a lot of these tools. So let's start by looking at what Uta does. So when attacking, you can trash one film type card from your hand, give up to one of your opponent's characters minus 2k until the end of the turn, and then ramp Adon at rest. This is a really powerful effect. Now, what is stopping this leader from being S tier, from being top tier? When you look at the super broken decks that are always in the format, it doesn't have the deck as a whole doesn't have a huge amount of plussing, massive amount of consistency, and this is a pretty fair effect, right? Like, okay, fine, you get to do a little bit of ramping, but it ramps at rest. You have to attack to do it, and you have to trash your specific film type card, so this is being locked into film only. And how good is minus 2k, depending on the support? It's pretty okay, but I mean, it's worth saying, even if you just swing into something and you trash a card from your hand, you're basically going to be clearing that, or at bare, or you're going to be ripping an extra card out of your opponent's hand, maybe two extras if they really want to protect it. So I think this is a pretty good effect, and the way I would rate this leader is a solid tier 2. Like, take this to locals, you'll probably see some success, but I wouldn't take this leader to a major event. But there's a lot of very powerful support cards that this deck gets, so let's look through some of them. Okay, so the first card here is a 2/3, which says, on play, play a Lily Carnation from your hand. This is a combo jank that you might use in some version of film Red-Green Lore, but until that becomes a thing, then you're probably not going to. Then we got Vanilla, 6/8 and Gaspard. This also probably doesn't see play, but it could with the ramping. If you go first, then you go up to 6 on turn 3, so you could play this. Okay, then we got a 4/5 2k counter. Don 1 when attacking. This character gains 1k until the start of your next turn. Then, at the end of the turn, trash one of your film type characters. So, this could have been very, very good, right? Like, I think this is, this could have been, like, a slightly worse, like a better version of ST Zoro in the sense that it's a 2k counter, even if it does cost one more. But the fact you have to trash something just makes this pretty unplayable, in my opinion, in terms of actually playing the card out. But you're probably going to play it because it's a 2k counter and it's film traded. Okay, then we got Shanks. This is a 10/12 on play, KO one of your opponent's characters with 10k power or less. In the context of the Uta leader, this is KOing everything in the game. We have nothing with more than 12k power, and you swing with the Uta leader, discard a card, give something minus 2k, and then you play the Shanks. So that is how that sort of scenario would work. I would say this is a pretty damn good card. I think this is very generic. It's got, good traits. We haven't seen a Shanks deck develop yet. We haven't seen a 4 Emperors deck develop yet, but it's the kind of card that I can see seeing play in that. And it's just straight up remove basically anything. On a 10/12. Is it proactive enough? I'm not convinced. I think, like, whilst this is a powerful card and it's a scary card, it doesn't give you a huge amount of immediate value. This is the sort of thing where I'm always going to go like, okay, but like, let's compare this to some of the big bombs we already have in the game. 10 Mum, burns and heals. 10 Kaido either draws you 4, or it wipes the whole board, or it bounces 2 things, depending on what you're talking about. If you look at the secret rares from the set, you have a card that plays another card, or you have a card that wins you the game immediately through Zoro, like, if they don't instantly answer it. So I think, like, this is a good card, but I'd say it's below rate for how good a lot of those other game-ending cards are. Okay, then we got Schneider. This is a Vanilla 3/5. Okay, then we've got Shariah, and this is one of the best cards that red gets. This is a 3/4, 1k counter, blocker. When attacking or when blocking, once per turn, this character's power becomes the same as the power of your opponent's leader until the start of your next turn. So this is amazing, because it basically means you're always swinging for free into leader. No don required, no nothing. And it does it when blocking. So if your opponent has, this is very unlikely to happen, but if, for example, your opponent has stacked up the leader first, swung with it, and then swings with something smaller, Shariah will become, like, the power of the leader, so it can be a very efficient blocker in that sense. It doesn't happen that often, but it's something that can happen. This is amazing on the aggro, this is amazing on the defense, this is a really, really good card. This is a staple 4 I think, in pretty much every deck that wants to be playing it. I think Red Purple Law is really going to be able to use this card. I think Uta is going to use this card. I think it's very, very good. Okay, next we got Douglas Bullet. This is a 6/7, which gains blocker if your leader is Film. A 6/7 blocker with 1k counter is not too bad. This is fine. Then we got Top Musica. This is a 5/6. Activate main. You may rest one of your Uta. This character gains 5k power for the turn. So when we start getting really cheap Utas that are like top 5 searches, this is actually going to be really, really good. As it is, I'm not convinced that resting like your leader Uta, for example, is going to be that good, but this is one of those cards I am keeping an eye on, because like if this Film deck ever gets a top 5 Uta searcher, suddenly this card's going to be incredibly scary. Next we got Bear King. This is a 5/6, 1k counter. If your opponent has a leader or character with a base power of 6k or higher, this character cannot be KO'd in battle. This isn't really doing anything proactive. The effect is sort of fine, but it's not really doing very much. Okay, then we got, I apologize, I've opened this in Japanese, but this is a 2/3, 1k counter. It is a top 3 searcher for Film. So, yep, this is a staple 4 in the Film deck. Then we got Ratchet. This is a 1/0, 1k counter. On opponent's attack, you may discard any number of Film-type cards from your hand. For each card discarded this way, give one of your leader or characters 1k for the battle. So this is going to let you convert your non-counter cards into counter cards. Now, what's the downside? Well, one, you got to play this card out, right? That's a huge downside. You're losing 1k from your hand just from that, and then your opponent gets an opportunity to like, fuck with that, basically, which is never a good thing. But it's not necessarily a bad effect, and potentially this is something that a red-green Law variant using Film cards might be able to make use out of. As it is, I think this is pretty bad, though. Then we got Lily Carnations. This is, as you recall, the card that you play for free off of Baron Omotsuri. Skipped ahead a little bit there. So this is a 4/0. Activate main once per turn. You may trash one of your characters with 6,000 power or more. Play up to one Film-type character card with power between 2,000 to 5,000 power from your trash rested. I just don't, like, I get what they were trying to do, like, being able to recur all these characters is, like, pretty good in theory, but, like, this is so Rebecca at home, it's unreal. This is not a good card. Way too annoying to actually make any use out of. Like, yes, there are some cute combos that can be enabled, but it just seems really pretty mid. Then we got Raise Max, and this is your Strictly Better Gordon. So this is a 1/2. Activate main, bot deck it, give one of your opponent's characters minus 3k power during this turn, and then it's Film and Revolutionary Army traded. So it's exactly the same as Gordon, but with an additional trait. This is an absolute staple 4 and you need this for every deck, basically. Firstly, if you didn't have Gordon before, okay, cool, now you've got a replacement if you don't want to buy that expensive promo. Unfortunately, that expensive promo is often optimal to play in conjunction with this. So, for example, Red Purple Law is playing 4 Raise Max and 4 Gordon. So, it doesn't really solve the issue when you want to be playing both of them, but certainly it's something. I'm not going to complain because, you know, the situation is hardly worse than it was before. It probably is a little bit better. Okay, then we've got some spells. So we got 2 cost event here. Main counter, you may add 1 life card to your hand. Up to one of your leader character gains 3k during this turn. So this is efficient. You're basically boosting the amount of Don you've got. This can be quite useful if you're trying to, like, you know, do some hyper aggro, but the problem is, because it's a cost, right, you have to add the life. The moment you're on 0, this card is doing absolutely nothing, making this unplayable. Okay, then we got Gum Gum King Kong Gatling. This is a 2 cost event. Main, give up to one of your leader or characters plus 3k power. Then, if your opponent has a character with 7k power or more, give one of your leaders or characters 1k for the turn. So the fact that this is 4k power for only 2 Don is really quite good. It has a decent trigger to KO one of your opponent's characters with 5k or less. It's Film and it's Straw Hat Pirates traded. I think this is one of those cards that hasn't really seen a great deal of play, but I think actually has, like, that's more of a factor of, like, red just not really seeing play in OP06. And I think this is a really powerful card, and one you're going to want to keep an eye on, because the ability to just pump your characters up, like, in this way is really, really, really scary. Okay, then we got Azure Dragon Stamp Flowing Water. This is a 3-cost event. KO up to one of your opponent's characters with 5k or less, and then the trigger KOs 4 or less. It's fine. I just don't... like, it's fine. I guess in the Uta deck, right, it's better because it's basically carrying a 7k, but a bit iffy. Okay, then we've got some purple film supports. We've got a 5/6 Gildasaura here. It says, on play, Don -1. If your leader is a film type, return up to 2 film characters with a cost of 4 or less from your trash to your hand. This is obviously amazing, if for nothing else, that you just get back to 2k counters, right? So you just get to go, like, Don -1, draw 2. This is amazing. This is one of those cards that, like, actually can make the film deck quite viable, but this is the level of power that it sort of needs, and there's not that many of the cards of this power level. This is a vanilla 5/7. Then we got Shiki. This is a 2/1 blocker, and then it says if your board has 8 or more Don, draw 1 and discard 1 on play. So this is a strict upgrade to any of those two-cost blockers you might have been playing before, and it's decent. Then we've got an interesting card here, Zephyr. This is a 7/7. On play, Don -1. Nullify all abilities of up to one of your opponent's characters this turn. Then, if that character has 5,000 power or less, KO it. So this is very, very interesting. And obviously, this is letting you hit 7k power or less in Uta. I think there's actually a lot of potential here. Like, this is the sort of card where, like, yeah, it's not, like, crazy powerful right now, and it hasn't seen a huge amount of play, but I just think, like, there wasn't a good opportunity for purple to make use of this, or red to make use of this, like, in this set. This is a really scary card. This is the only ability nullification in the game, and for things like Borsalino, or things like Sabo, like, this is going to hit a Borsalino. It's, like, better than a mine, because it's going to lose the 1k, and then it's going to get destroyed, right? So, yeah, I think this is a very, very, very powerful card. That is not really being utilized at the moment, but I think it's one to keep an eye on. And then finally, we got a 2/3 1k counter, Don -1, rest up to 2 of your opponent's characters of cost 2 or less. I mean, if this had a trigger to play it, then maybe, or if this more realistically had a way to play it during your opponent's turn to, like, completely neuter aggro, then, you know, that's possible, but as it is, I don't think this is going to see any play. So that is all of the cards for the Uta deck. My overall review, I think this is a solid mid-tier strategy. There are lots of old support pieces you do need to be picking up for the deck, though. You can't just play this. You need to pick up ST05. You need 2 copies of that. Kind of mandatory. I don't think you can play this deck, the Uta deck, without those. And then you're also going to want, like, all those classic old red staples that are so good, right? You probably are going to want the Rush Sorrows. They're pretty damn useful, right? You're also probably going to be interested in some other generic purple tools that existed in set 5. For example, the 5-cost Kid, the 4-cost Law from ST10. You might be interested in some of the generic purple support as well that comes out in this set. So it's this deck is actually not very self-contained, not very easy to build out of just this one set. You do need to go and pick up quite a lot of old stuff. And considering its power level, I think it could have come out about a year, like, 6 months ago. I think this could have been a set 2 deck and it would have been fine. And if anything, might have, like, actually pushed sales of ST10, ST, no, not 10, ST5, yeah, the film purple deck. So it is what it is, but that is it for this video. I hope you guys found it useful. If you did, please do like the video, subscribe to the channel for more One Piece card game content. Lots more of this sort of stuff coming in the near future. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. Cheers.